The Secret Service is now investigating after somebody found cocaine at the White House. A source just told NBC News that the official lab test came back positive for the illegal drug. They say it was discovered on Sunday inside a small dime-sized bag. President Biden was not at the White House at the time, but emergency crews did briefly evacuate the building. NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli joins us now. Mike, we know that we're told cocaine was found actually in the West Wing. Who has access to that area? And even though there's so many questions still, does Secret Service have any idea about who actually might have brought it in?
Well, Morgan, unlike the executive mansion of the White House, which you see behind me, that's where some of the ceremonial spaces of the White House that we're so familiar with, as well as the private residence of the president, is located. That we understand that this was discovered in an area of the West Wing, which is really typically only open to the high-level staff who work there.
Danilo Blando.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Ricky. Danilo's going to testify against you tomorrow.
He's the witness they've been hiding.
Man, ain't no way they flipped Danilo, man.
Sit down
Nah.
and listen to what he has to say.
They didn't flip anyone. Look, Ricky. Blando was working for the government the entire time.
You for real?
Yeah.
He for real? Don't a snitch. Look here, man, he was 1,000 times heavier than I'll ever be. He LA, New York, Atlanta, he everywhere. I couldn't sell it fast enough to keep up with supply.
Wait, you mean demand?
No, I mean supply. I was buying 100 kilos a week, selling $3 million a day, and still couldn't get rid of that inventory fast enough, man. It was raining coke.
Allegedly.
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 Look here, man, I gave him $6 million a week, allegedly.
That's impossible.
Is it? I'm exaggerating, Fenster.
Yeah, I hope so.
How do you sell that much cocaine on the street?
Look here, man, we used to cook it with baking soda. We called it Ready Rock. Powder was for rich folks.
Holy shit.
Look here, man, I was just the elf. Blando, Santa Claus.
30 years ago, an Associated Press journalist broke a shocking story about the CIA. 10 years later, Gary Webb was working at the San Jose Mercury News when he uncovered the story tucked away inside of a Senate subcommittee report. The report showed that the CIA was very closely tied to illegal cocaine smuggling in 1985. Webb started out skeptical, but eventually published a series called Dark Alliance. Then Webb's life fell apart. One by one, news agencies started to pick him apart, trying their best to discredit his story. Eventually, his own employer piled on and pushed him out. Webb went on to kill himself in 2004. And now the Contra cocaine scandal is being retold in a new movie called Kill the Messenger, starring Jeremy Renner. Webb is gone, but the AP reporter who first broke the story is still alive today, and he's joining us to talk about the lost history of the cocaine controversy. His name is Robert Perry. He's the editor of Consortium News. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Robert, from what you know and your investigation into this story, the cocaine. Hang on, this is now I'm all screwed up. This is. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Robert, this new movie coming out, Kill the Messenger, do you expect it to be fairly accurate to what you know about the CIA?
Well, I haven't seen the movie yet, so it's hard to say what exactly Hollywood has done with this. What I understand is they try to be pretty careful in dealing with most of the key facts in terms of being generally accurate. They did compress some of the information, I understand, but people that have seen the movie tell me that it's reasonably close to what actually happened.
Now, you wrote a piece back in 1985 tying the CIA to the Nicaraguan Contra cocaine trafficking. Can you tell us what happened? Walk us through that whole scenario.
Well, in the mid-1980s, the Reagan administration had been supporting these Contra rebels in Nicaragua fighting against the leftist Sandinista government. Congress had cut off funding for the Contras because of human rights and other problems. that raised the question, how were they sustaining themselves in the field? How were they funding their operations? So Brian Barger and I, working at the Associated Press, began looking into that issue, following the money, basically. And one thing that we came upon was that pretty much all the major Contra organizations were augmenting their funding by working with drug traffickers, including the Medellin cartel and Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega and others. So the Contras were helping themselves by assisting the shipments of cocaine into the United States. So we put that story together in December of 1985. It was published by the Associated Press. Generally speaking, it received pretty harsh reactions from many of our colleagues in the Washington press corps. It was a hard story to report, and many of them apparently didn't want to do that hard work. So it was easier to tear down these stories than actually advance them. So even though Barger and I continued on with our investigation, the main thing that we accomplished was to get Senator John Kerry, who was then running a subcommittee of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Senate, to conduct an investigation which further advanced the information and showed that indeed the Contras were involved with drug trafficking and that the Reagan administration knew a good deal about it.